The topography of the planet bears little resemblance to our own. Much of it is obscured by cloud cover. Even more of it appears to be cratered desert of reddish hue. There's a mantle of dust around this planet, and yet it's as humid as a jungle. Thunder and lightning, and yet no rain. Cloud cover every night, and that strange luminosity, and yet no moon.
Having therefore spotted land, they were filled with joy, and according to the customs of sailors, they gave the signal to the others of having seen land. All crying with happiness, they thanked God, stood with great respect around Columbus, kissed his right hand, and called him their father and protector, asking his forgiveness for all that had happened.
The awesome yellow planet of Tatooine emerges from a total eclipse, her 2 moons glowing against the darkness. A tiny silver spacecraft, a rebel blockade runner, firing lasers from the back of the ship, races through space. It is pursued by a giant Imperial Star Destroyer. Hundreds of deadly laser bolts streak from the Imperial Star Destroyer, causing the main solar fin of the rebel craft to disintegrate.
In this journey we found the soil very fruitful, full of fig trees, and in the valleys, where cottages were, vineyards bearing ripe grapes. Though now in winter the sun scarce, there were also cocoa trees, no branches spouting forth, but at the top. The inhabitants are black, but they have strong white teeth throughout their lives, and are always very robust.
Through masses of thick, steamy, vaporous clouds, swirling about, rising boilingly up from some unseen underground source. And then, the Vulcan landscape. Harsh, strange angular peaks and rock formations. The barren, legendary mountain home of Vulcan masters.
It never freezes, and is so big and so wide, full of forests and trees, and its banks are lined with abundant pasture and meadows. It stretches between 2 seas, as does Italy. Furthermore, the nature of the air and of the soil of this region is similar to the temperature and fertility found in Castile in Spain.
On an adjacent hill, the helmeted rebel contingent makes its way up a steep trail. Beyond, in benevolent contrast, floats the small green moon of Endor. It is protected by an energy shield, which is generated from the nearby forest moon of Endor. The stolen Imperial shuttle sits in a clearing of the moon's dark primeval forest, dwarfed by the ancient towering trees.
They about in many things, which they trade with other nations, from which they acquire a reasonable profit, like rawhides, lambskin, tennis goat skins, linens and cottons, crystallized grapes, dates, figs, and many other goods.
We see it is a planet of vast deserts. The surface of the planet is a sea of black oil. A small cable car traverses high above the sea towards a gigantic black city in the shape of a rectangular box over 100 stories high. There will be flowing water here, open to the sky, and rich green oasis. For the spice, there will always be some desert. There will be fierce winds and trials to toughen men.
Among the many trees of New Spain, there is one which carries this fruit of great renown in North America, commonly called cacao. It is so prized, not only by the savages but also the Spaniards, that it is rightly considered one of the richest goods.
Clendathu, source of the bug meteor attacks, orbits a twin star system whose brutal gravitational forces produce an unlimited supply of meteorites. Thousands of bugs boil out of the ground to defend against the invader. The entire surface of Clendathu seems to be churning with insects as more and more bugs come to the surface to repel the invasion. It's an ugly planet, a bug planet, a planet hostile to life as we know it.
For 8 months of the year, this island is so cold that ice is always to be seen there. Yet within it are fueled several fires of great heat.
A gas giant planet called Polyphemus, ringed with dozens of moons which cast beauty-marked shadows on its vast face. The giant planet rises behind the black trees. It seems to fill the sky beyond the clouds. A waterfall shimmers silver in the Polyphemus light. Vines hang down 100 feet into the gorge, and among them swoop stingbats and other night flyers. Outside the windows, clouds and cliffs pass by, lit by Polyphemus.
There are also many savage beasts like tigers, lions, and other cruel and dangerous animals. There are also many kinds of snakes and serpents, some of which are as long as 4 fathoms, and are so big that they can devour an entire stag, horns and all. There are several kinds of lizard, and in the rivers and swamps, crocodiles as long as 8 or 9 feet can be caught, but they are harmless.
The ice planet looks precariously balanced, orbiting the smaller black hole. The space below it is choked with hundreds of tiny moons, a cruder version of Saturn's rings. The moons are hurtling around the planet at high speed. The moons are vastly different than our own, potato-shaped and only 1 to 2 miles in circumference. They are hugged in a close embrace with the ice planet, only a few 100,000 feet from the surface.
Winter is colder than its climate would lead one to believe. Whitburn estimates that this occurs for 2 reasons: because of the horrible piles of ice that are pushed from the north to this coast in winter, and thickness of the forests.
A great red spear, long shadows over the red planet. Below the probe, Vulcan has become a gray-black enshrouded ball. Pinpoint lightning flashes can be seen as tiny Christmas lights.
From there one arrives at this land, which is banked up in very high piles of sand that are covered in small pine shoots. This country was deemed by the ancients to be uninhabitable because of the excessive heat, but the moderns have recognized that the climate is more temperate than one would have thought, without trying it.
She's out there, setting up camp, alone in a strange galaxy. Maybe right now she's settling in for the long nap, by the light of our new sun, in our new home.